Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Quack Report. First off, just before I introduce Nate here, we got a little bit of news that we want to share right off the bat. We have decided to open up a bakery.
Yes.
Yeah, we have.
Obviously, when you have a bigger guy on the show, you have to have a bakery or some kind of food thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, I'm talking about me, Carter. I'm not calling you fat by any means.
I know. I'm trying to catch up to you, but I've got a long way to go.
A few more Pilsners, bud.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Please don't drink that garbage. Please don't drink that garbage.
No,
don't subject yourself to that.
I've moved up in the world. I drink Bud Light now. No, but
I thought you were gonna say you drink IPAs. I was gonna be like, okay, we're going for the we are going for the dad bod here.
No, but we've decided to open up a bakery, and we want to, just because we want to give back to you guys. So on this episode, we are giving away some free hot takes for our bakery. Not hot cakes, hot takes. It's a hockey themed bakery. I don't think I'm that
How
funny,
have I done this show with you for this long?
I don't know. I have no idea, man. See, when I tell you I have an idea for the opening of the show, instead of just being like, all right, man, whatever, you should tell me, no, it's stupid.
No, but it does make it entertaining with like my reaction at the same time. Sometimes it is just fucking awkward, bud, and other times, it's pretty good. So, I mean, to give you the benefit of the doubt, most of the time it is pretty good.
Okay.
Most of the time it's pretty good. There's very few awkward moments at this point, especially between the two of us. So.
That's true. Yeah. How would you rate today's, whatever you want to call it, random intro? Not one of my finest?
I'll give it a solid 6 out of 10.
Okay. So kind of average.
Yeah, there's at least more effort into it as there is right now with the Buffalo Sabres trying to do something with Jack Eichel.
That's fair. Marcus here saying, as a viewer, this is why he watches live. Because you get to see raw and unedited. I mean, I don't really edit the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts either, but you get to see raw, unedited, live, absolute whatever.
Tomfuckery, yeah.
Yeah, awkwardness. Raw awkwardness.
Pretty much.
Nate, how's it going today?
It's going. It is going. I made the mistake of going to the gym yesterday, followed up by helping somebody move. So I am goddamn tired. And
yeah, that sounds awful.
A little sore, more sore than normal. We'll put it that way. But yeah, no, other than that though, not too bad. So was just trying to stay on top of homework. Surprisingly, I actually have been able to. That's the challenge for me sometimes. But even my girlfriend commented on it. She's like, you know what? I'm actually not going to make too much of a fuss or that because the dishes aren't done or something like that because you're actually on top of your homework right now, and I'm quite proud of you. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, just take what you can get, right?
Yeah, it only took me it only took me into year 7 of post-secondary to really be on top of it, I guess. So
yeah, take what you can get. At least you're learning, right?
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm trying to learn.
Actually, I worked out the other day as well, just yesterday. So
I thought you said you were trying to catch up to me though.
Yeah, it was unintentional working out. I was leaving for work in the evening.
Dude, we don't need to hear about your sexcapades, all right?
No, I was leaving for work in the evening, and I left. I got out to my car, so that's one set of stairs up out of the house.
Oh my God.
And then I realized that I forgot my water bottle, so I came back, grabbed my water bottle, left again. Realized I forgot a mask, came back, and then went back up again. So I did 3 flights of stairs. It was a lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot, dude.
Bad. That's not bad. So I'll give it to you.
Thanks.
sometimes 3 sets of stairs can be a lot.
Dude, it's more than I've probably done in a full day in a long time. A very long time.
Okay, we go to I guess should we say where we go to school?
What, are they going to find out what classroom we're in? And
I mean, you never know. But anyway, at our school, there's this massive set of stairs that people dread. Essentially, they would rather take the elevator, which understandable at times. Before
people do those stairs in the evenings after the gym closes to get their workouts in.
Yeah, exactly. And props to them, honestly.
Yeah.
But there was before COVID had shut everything down, I actually was able to do those stairs and not be too out of breath, which is, saying something, right? Because most of the time you get up to the top and everybody has to take a quick break for a sec.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're going from at least like the the main floor, I guess, from kind of where it is, right?
Mhm.
But there are more down below, right? So like if you were like us in the basement for some of our classes, trying to take that entire staircase up. But like I was actually doing pretty decent, but like I have not taken it at all here because I'm terrified of it.
Yeah.
One's trying to get back into shape in general, or like it's like I don't know how comparatively I'm in shape to before. But also then on top of having COVID, my lungs are completely shot. And so I'm like, I don't even want to like try to get up like 2 flights of that and be like, oh my god, give me a second. So like,
it's the worst when you're walking
but,
with someone that you like don't really know, so you can't just like share silence comfortably with them. So you like have to try and maintain a conversation, but obviously the
yeah,
other person doesn't want to talk. So whoever's talking when you get to the stairs, like just keeps talking, but you can
yeah,
really only say like one word every 4
yep,
seconds because you
uh-huh,
have to.
yep, yep, uh-huh,
Mhm.
sure. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, okay. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Your point. Oh.
Anyways, enough about staircases.
Let's talk about Stairmasters now. Oh, all right. Should we get into some actually decent? We actually have some Ducks talk.
Yeah,
We'll
we
do the
do.
best that we can with it, considering not a whole lot of preseason stuff has been shown, but we'll
Mhm.
do our best.
We'll see what happens here.
There's one particular guy on waivers today that we're a little bit kind of surprised about, and I think a lot of people
Cheesed.
are. Yeah, I'm giving a bit of a preview here,
Okay.
as well as I'm giving you a preview of the preview that we're going to do for this season around the NHL, and give way too early predictions that we're not going to hold ourselves accountable to, but you definitely are. We want you to, because I want to see how badly I
Yeah, I want you to fucking roast us. Just let us have it. And I think Nate is frozen. Probably. Very unfortunate. I have another key I wanted to do here. Oh yeah, I'll do it when he gets back. Anyways, let's play the music and hopefully Nate will join us momentarily here. All right. As Nate was saying before, his internet connection rudely cut him off. We're going to briefly discuss some preseason stuff here. So, Marcus's comment here. Nate, you're so frozen. Elsa asks you to build a snowman. Oh, I got to show him that when he comes back. Oh, here he is. We got double Nate. You got to read Marcus's comment here, dude.
You're so frozen. Asks you to build a snow.
That's perfect.
Oh, that is good. That's better than I was gonna say. I was gonna be like I was monologuing, and so StreamYard was just like, nope.
Yeah. Your internet connection. That's what I want to do whenever you get going. Just be like, nope, that's enough.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, it is honestly having a rough time right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Okay. I took us into preseason thoughts here.
Sweet.
What do you have for preseason thoughts, Nate? Just based off of what little we've been able to watch.
Give me more Trevor Zegras this season.
Yes.
Do not fuck. I know I talked about this, I think, last week. Bob, Dallas, do not fuck this up for me. Do not fuck this up for the rest of the fan base. We just want Trevor. That's all we want. We know this season is going to be dog shit again anyway. Just give us some semblance of hope.
Yeah. Just to build off that a little bit, I didn't get to watch this game because they obviously didn't televise it, but I did get the notification that we got a power play goal, which first off, I was like, whoa, let's slow the fuck down here. But it was scored by Zegras and then assisted by Drysdale and somebody else. I don't remember who it was, but I was like, fucking yes. Give me a power play with Zegras and Drysdale on it.
The future is now, bitch.
Yes. And you know exactly what they're going to do is they're going to be like, no, our power play was fine last year. We were just unlucky. And then our second unit is going to be Zegras and Drysdale.
Yeah.
Because, they're young. They can't run a power play.
Yeah.
So But I thought that looked really good. I mean, not looked really good, but I'm excited by the prospect.
It looked better than last year, at least.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
only preseason. Like, so you take it with a grain of salt. But if something actually looks better in preseason with new guys compared to what you had last year, you should probably take a look at that.
Maybe
a good hard look,
maybe,
and not say, "Nah, screw that, we're fine."
Yeah, no, but my expectations are just so unbelievably low for Eakins and Murray that like I just they can only impress me at this point.
Yeah, like, realistically, like
there's nothing that they can do, or I'm like, oh man, like that was a bad move. Well, I mean, they will, and I'll be like, that's a bad move, but I'm not going to be like devastated by it. I'll be like, okay, that was a bad move, but I knew that's the move they were going to make.
That's a bad move. That's the status quo. Moving on, unfortunately.
Yeah. Honestly, at this point, they should just come out and say we're going for the first overall pick this year. Because we feel like we
talked about it last week. They just came out with we're rebuilding, so
yeah,
give it 2 more years, right? It's just kind of judging on like the rebuild, how long that took to be told. Give it another 2 more years, and then it'll be okay. We're going for the first overall pick, and then give it another 2 more years, and then it's okay. We're working on the rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
and that's exactly. that as well is only if Murray stays. God forbid he stays past next year. God forbid Dallas Eakins stays past next year. Because we talked about this before, and we've beaten this to death. My opinion more on Dallas Eakins is he's a great coach for the AHL because he's a great development coach. The NHL is hopefully where you're not supposed to be developing guys anymore, right? Yeah. Like, I understand we have a lot of young guys here, but they're here for a reason. It's because they can play the game of hockey at the NHL level. So let them do that, right?
Yeah.
So
no, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Or honestly, even in an assistant coach role, just like a bit of a demotion, I guess. But Dallas Eakins is not the guy to be the head coach. And that we're going into another year with him there, and another year of Bob Murray, who, I mean, we'll talk about it in a second here. You're kind of wondering about asset management and everything like that. Like it was the same thing again with Zegras last year with asset management. It's, the Volkov thing we're about to talk about here is asset management. And I mean, even our dollar assets with, my opinion on bringing Ryan Getzlaf back for 1 year. Okay, sure. I have no issue with that, but $4.5 million for what's probably going to be a third line guy. That's a little steep, even if he has, the pedigree and veteran experience. That's such an intangible that people will pay for, apparently, but it's
yeah, no,
it's going to be another rough season, unfortunately, folks. Hopefully it's going to be better than last season. I mean, you can only hope.
Yeah.
Like last year was pretty bad considering we were second last. I don't think we'll be there again because I think we have more pieces than Arizona. And we definitely have a lot more to us than the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
So
I think we could even be better than the Red Wings as well. I'm just quickly taking a look at other teams we have down in the bottom, and I mean maybe the Kraken as well, just because they're such a wild card. Like they could be top, middle, or bottom, right? yeah. So like I don't think we're gonna be any better than 25th spot. I think we're gonna be below 25 in the overall standings, but I mean, at this point, like you kind of want to be in that 32nd spot, do you not? To try and get the better pick. So
a little bit, but
it's kind of tough. But also, you do want to win,
not this
right?
year. It's next year. We want it, right? For what's that kid's name?
Oh, Connor Bedard.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
We want it next year. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, quickly before we transition to Volkov, I kind of just wanted to touch on some guys that have really impressed me in preseason.
Yeah, please do.
So Troy Terry is the one, and I've been high on him since the beginning of last season too. So
he's a pretty good player to get high on, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know what he did this offseason, but he just looks so much faster and so much calmer out there, and I'm very excited to see what he can do this season. Sonny Milano's had a good preseason as well, 3 points in 3 games.
Give me Sonny.
So I really hope he makes the roster next year. And the other one that I don't think is going to make the roster necessarily, at least to start out, but I think is showing promise is Bo Grew. We picked him quite a while ago. 2 points in 3 games. He had a really nice goal against the Sharks. That was last Thursday, I think. So those guys have really impressed me. Just aside from the obvious ones, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw in a couple more guys, and you know me, the goalie guy. I'm obviously taking.
Oh no. Oh, if only we could hear what he said. I just wanted to bring up a comment here while Nate figures his stuff out. Dave from the Vegas podcast, also a Red Wings fan here, only because Verana is out. Oh, probably because when we were talking about the Red Wings, and I said we might be better than the Red Wings. I think that's when that popped up. I don't exactly remember, but yeah, honestly though, Verana is a huge part of that team. He's a very underrated player. Just want to touch on that. So, yeah, and honestly, we could very well not be better than the Red Wings, even if Verana's out the whole season. So, okay, yeah, that's what that is what you were talking about. Cool. I got something from Nate here. No, okay. I don't know who impresses Nate in the postseason, but he's back here.
Wasn't even going to be a monologue. I was
you just wanted to say goalie. Yeah, who's your goalie, Nate?
Stolarz and Dostal.
Yes.
Yes. That battle was really starting to heat up. And the thing I wanted to take away from that more than anything, like besides, they were both playing great from what I saw on that. I should maybe take another look at the numbers here quick. But what I'm hoping from this, and again, this is going to be another question mark on Dallas Eakins, is use these two to give John Gibson a bit of a rest so that he does play better overall, right? Because that's what we saw last year was, when it was unfortunately after Gibson had gotten hurt, but once he came back rested, the dude was on fire, right? Imagine a consistent season of, let's say, honestly, like 52 games. 30 games split between Stolarz and Dostal, right? Or even just Stolarz, right?
Yeah.
That would be such a better overall John Gibson, who's already a great goaltender, but he's a guy who does need the rest. There's also the talk, like, you'd have to talk to him of like, hey, we are going to cut back, but it's for your benefit, for the team's benefit and everything like that. But like, that's, with the NHL just moving in general more to tandems, which makes sense, honestly, when you think about it, right? Like John Gibson is very much still a starting goaltender. Like
he's one of the few left in the league.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So you're not going to, drastically cut him to like 42 or like 41 and 41, right? Mm-hmm. But like 52 to 60, let's say, that's a pretty good number, honestly. And
that's still kind of more
bring a lot more. Yeah, and that in turn could bring the Ducks a lot more wins this season.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's a lot more akin to. It still has that starter and backup kind of feel. Like I feel like it's usually about 2/3 starter, 1/3 backup. Like even if we're not talking tandem, like in my mind, tandem is pretty much 50-50 split. But yeah, with Gibson and Stolarz, if he plays say 55 games, that leaves, quick math, 27 for Stolarz. So that's about 1/3 of the season, which I'd say is just reasonable for workload management, and not that we are going to make the play, or not that we have expectations to make the playoffs this season, but if by some miracle, because we're in a super weak ass division, we do make the playoffs, then you're going to want John Gibson rested.
Exactly.
And you're going to want him used to having a lighter workload to be rested for the playoffs, because ideally we get back there in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So
a great example, and I think I've brought this up before. Like I'm trying to think of how much I've talked about already, but it's more just like, this is obviously what the Ducks should do, or maybe not obviously. Like you might be able to tweak a thing or two, right? Like obviously, like I'm not the know-it-all, right? Otherwise I'd probably be hired by somebody. I get that. And there are people who are ahead of me. I totally get it. Take a look at Montreal, though, that brought in Jake Allen to be able to give Carey Price rest, right? To make sure he was, playing to the best of his ability whenever he was in net, right?
Yeah.
And for if they made the playoffs. That team went to the Stanley Cup final, a large part in due because of Carey Price and being rested and knowing that they had a great option behind him that they could play for a few more games to make sure that Price was ready for those games.
That was without a doubt, out of every team in the NHL, that was without a doubt the best move last offseason.
Yeah, and everybody questioned it because of the high cap hit, which I did myself, honestly. Like my thought was you could have picked a cheaper goaltender who could have still done the thing. The idea behind it, though, made that money well spent.
Oh, yes, absolutely. If they would have won the cup, nobody says a thing about that ever again. I mean, even the fact that they made it to the finals, like
exactly.
No, when the Canadiens honestly, were expected to not even make the playoffs, like
say, exactly, make the playoffs, or I'll even say like get past the first round because Toronto was dominant basically until it was a game 5, right? Yeah. So, but
yeah, is there anyone else that impressed you in so far in training camp / preseason, or are you ready to move on here?
I think I'm ready to move on. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm sure as soon as we're done, I'll remember somebody. But
actually, do you want to quickly talk about anyone that hasn't totally impressed, or not impressed, but hasn't met expectations? Not to shit on them, but
there's not anybody I can pick up. Think of offhand. But if you have somebody, please, by all means.
The only one I want to just bring up, and it's probably just because it's preseason and hasn't quite gotten to form yet, is Comtois has no points in 3 games so far this preseason. Which I really hope he turns around, and I believe that he will. But we cannot go the whole season with a sophomore slump for Comtois because we desperately need him. Desperately to put up points.
So, I believe Yahoo has him projected for like around 40 points.
I hope so.
Like that. I think it was like 21 goals and 23 assists, which like that's pretty good. That's definitely a step from last year. And last year, the guy led the team in scoring. Like, again, like that's great for him. But when we had guys like Raquel, Henrique, Silverberg, Getzlaf, that's not the guy who should be leading.
No.
At least not yet.
Yeah. And also I took Comtois in, I believe it was the THPN fantasy league that we're in. It might be our other one, but I took him like late, I think very last round of the draft. So I desperately want him to pop off this season just so that I look like a fucking genius for taking Comtois in the last round. Why are you looking at me like that? Am I frozen? Oh no, Nate's frozen. Uh-oh. Hilarious. Okay, well, we're going to move on. I'm assuming Nate has no gripes with anybody. Oh, there we are. Okay. Do you have anybody you want to shit on for preseason?
Not necessarily preseason, but just shit on my internet service provider or my computer right now.
That's fair. Yes, Dave. Comtois was very good against Vegas. I loved it.
Yes.
Nobody else really, but Vegas somehow he was.
Yeah.
Okay. Volkov being placed on waivers. That was just this morning, was it not?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
He's not a top line guy by any means, but like the games that he had were impactful. We talked about it. The only reason that he wasn't in the Tampa Bay lineup is because look at the Tampa Bay lineup that they had. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room for anybody, right? But Volkov was a guy who was able to make a decent impact for a team like us that is still going to need that. I have no idea what the rationale is behind this move. And that was a lot of Ducks Twitter today was just confused as to why you would drop down Volkov, right? And, like we talked about asset management before, right? With Bob Murray. And like the scary part is here, came across this on Twitter, that with Volkov on waivers, if he is claimed, the Ducks would have traded Yanni Hakanpää, Antoine Morand, a 6th and a 7th for 12 games of Hayden Fleury and 18 of Volkov.
Holy shit.
That is horrid.
Yeah.
Even if Volkov plays the entire season in the AHL this year, that is horrid.
Yeah.
You could have you could like at least a little bit better with that then, if that was your plan.
Yeah.
And if that's your plan, that is a shit plan, my dude. And I don't know how you still have a job. I was questioning it before. How the fuck does Bob Murray have a job right now? Besides the fact that he's in the last year of his contract.
Yeah, dude, that's honestly.
Are the Samuelis not paying attention to what is going on with their team right now?
Yeah,
like, it's ridiculous. Like,
it's crazy.
Honestly, anything from the way that their top prospect was handled last season, which, looking into it a little bit more, like just kind of thinking about it, I understand it a little bit more. I'm still not 100% happy with how it was handled. From, your top prospect, how you're handling that, to the types of moves that you're making that aren't really improving the team by any means, and to, 2-3 years into being utter crap, are you finally acknowledging, hey, we're going to go through a rebuild here, to even the simplest things as your fan base clamoring for at least the return of the Mighty Duck logo full time. I understand that the Anaheim Ducks, not the Mighty Ducks, won the Stanley Cup in 2003. But, the people who are literally the reason that this team is around, not the Samuelis, the fans, want that back. And at most, they want the original color palette back as well. But like this whole spectrum that the Samuelis are not seeming to pay attention to for this massive thing that they own, and that they at the end of the day are responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just unbelievable to me that you can have millions of dollars into something and just not, at least from the outside, like the Samuelis, and probably for the best, honestly, for a lot of for a lot of owners, like you can take a look at Ottawa for a bad example of an owner being too talkative. But for the most part, like if the Samuelis are silent, there's not a whole lot said. So there's not really the actual knowing of if they give a shit about what's going on with their team, which is a little bit scary. Like I'd be okay with 1 or 2 press conferences from them, or at least articles that has somebody talking to them about what their feelings on their team and that kind of stuff. Not to obviously make things between the managers and presidents to ownership and that kind of stuff, but at least show your fans that you're caring about what's going on.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because fans are upset.
Yeah. Just
in general, right? There's the understanding now, obviously, that it's a rebuild. Some fans are just embracing the fact that we suck. Like us at
We've
points,
embraced it,
right?
100%.
Exactly. But is that, it's not even perpetual mediocrity, right? Is that what the Anaheim Ducks are going for right now? Which that's what it seems like they are, just in general. Mediocre look, mediocre play on the ice, mediocre just management. Throughout right now, it's mediocre or less. So there's my rant for the
moments later.
do you feel better?
I feel a little bit better.
Okay, that's what matters. Yeah, no, I
also just want to go cry myself to sleep right now.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. So, yeah, it would be nice to just have some word from the Samuelis, even just once a year, just be like,
yeah,
this is us giving a shit,
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be good, intelligent conversation. It can be the most political bullshit ever, but I just want to hear from them,
please.
Something that says you give the tiniest fraction of a shit about the team. So,
and I mean, obviously I'm not a multi-billionaire. I'm not sure what they're worth. You'd think you would care about something that you put that much money into, though.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right? So year after year.
Yeah.
But
anyways,
I don't know. That's just me being a broke college student.
Yeah. Back to my original question. How do you feel about Volkov being on waivers? Obviously, Nate is very upset about it.
I like how we went to Volkov being on waivers. For myself.
To just absolutely
this rabbit hole to the Samuelis don't give a shit about their team and need to go back to the Mighty Ducks logo.
Dave Chapman in here saying he has having PTSD with being a Lions fan.
I'm sorry, Dave.
just because I like to try and give, some credit and play devil's advocate, even just a little bit. I would like to think that this is a big brain move by our Lord and Savior Bob Murray.
No.
I'm trying to keep
You
it
can
together.
try to be devil's advocate here. You are not going to salvage this, my friend.
Okay. The only thing that I could maybe see as a reason for why you would put Volkov on waivers this early, and I did not do a ton of research on this, not going to lie, but I don't think that there's many other players on our roster that we would potentially send back to the AHL that would need to clear waivers. I think a lot of them are younger guys. I think Volkov is one of the few, and that would actually have a chance of being picked up off of waivers. But I think because it's this early in the preseason, teams aren't really looking to pick guys up off of waivers right now. They want to see what they have with their roster. So I think we're sending him down now, going to call him back up kind of right away, and then like early next week sort of thing. And then we have 30 days where he doesn't have to clear waivers, where we can play him, send him back down to bring up some of our young guys and kind of do the weird shuffling that every team does for the first month to try and get their 9 games of their prospects in. So that's kind of my big brain idea of why I think that Bob Murray did that, but also I think I'm giving him too much credit. So
I thought when you were texting me about this beforehand, because we were talking about it really quickly when we had learned about it, I thought your big brain move was going to be a little bit more. Oh yeah, what does Volkov even make? Was it is it league min or like 950 or something like that? It's not very. It's at least under $1.5 million. I know that. I thought you were going to say that's all they need to be under enough to be able to take on Jack Eichel.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna change to that. That's my big brain idea. Yeah.
That's where I thought you were gonna go with it. Not that, oh yeah, it's so we can have some of the young guys play a little bit more. It's like, no, we got a guy who can play now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's gonna need his surgery anyway, so he's not gonna probably play this season at all. But Volkov's making league min $925 on a one-way deal. So same minor salary. And the Ducks in general have a projected cap space of 13 million. So yeah.
Also, we don't even have to move anything right now to get Eichel.
No, we literally don't. Yeah.
We're going to touch on this really quickly because I don't know how deep we've really gone into it, just because it's only been like just small rumblings about Eichel actually coming here, though it seems like a lot of people are actually thinking that we're one of the most likely destinations from what I've been seeing.
Yeah, no, I definitely think we're in the mix, and rightfully so. You have $13 million in cap space, tons of assets, room on the roster for a top line centerman that wants to play now and help a team be good now that's not Buffalo. Like, yeah, it makes a ton of sense.
So obviously, because I believe Murray has said it, or it's at least been implied, Zegras and Drysdale are off the table in order to get Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
So what are you imagine you are Bob Murray. You're a smarter version of Bob Murray. What are you willing to give up if you're Bob Murray to
I think the first round pick for next year is on the table. That without a question. And I think it's necessary to I'm forgetting the GM in Buffalo. I'm forgetting his name, but I think it's necessary for him to get that from wherever he goes. Who else would I be willing to trade on the roster? Unfortunately, probably a guy like Raquel. I think they need, NHL caliber players. I'm assuming they're going to want young guys, so we'll probably throw in some prospects that have high upside, maybe Bo Grew or Braden Tracy. I think, you don't want to give away too many prospects, obviously, but I think those are really the only ones they might be interested in. Is there a Carrick in Buffalo? I feel like there is. Oh, Nate's frozen. He's not going to be able to answer me. Someone else knows. So far we're at first round pick, maybe Raquel, and then one of Bo Grew or Braden Tracy. I would even be willing to put Max Comtois into that. I don't like it, but obviously you have to give up good assets to get good assets. If Zegras and Drysdale are the guys you're saying, we got to keep those guys on lockdown, I think you have to be willing to trade Max Comtois just because he's a good asset that they know will be able to play now and they could potentially sign long term. Marcus brought up one here. Mock fair trade to Buffalo. 23 first, 22 second, Sasha, Pastujov, and Raquel. I think that's fair. It's a first round. I mean, they would probably want one in the 2022 and maybe the 23 second round pick, but also the 23 first is going to be Connor Bedard. So very high value there. And then to Anaheim, Jack Eichel. I don't have an issue with that. Yeah. Nate, just to recap, my stream of consciousness that I went through here. I said Raquel, I said Braden Tracy or Bo Grew and a first round pick. The other guy I said, and my rationale was because you have to, or because you're saying no to Zegras and Drysdale, those are the untouchables. You have to be willing to give up another top prospect, or not even prospect, just a top young guy on your roster. So I wouldn't be okay with it, but I think Max Comtois would potentially be in the mix, unfortunately.
Yeah. The idea that I had in my head is, okay, so to add to the off the table right now is that 23 first round pick. Unless it's what's the
lottery
term?
protected?
Lottery protected, thank you. Just being the Bedard year, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of that's a little risky with that. So unless it's lottery protected,
I mean, ideally if we get Eichel though,
off the table.
Ideally if we get Eichel though, we don't win the lottery in 2023. Ideally we're making playoffs then.
Fair enough, but I mean, not to say that we're in a similar situation to the Buffalo Sabres, but we're in a similar situation to the Buffalo Sabres where, or we could be in a similar situation, I guess, that, Buffalo had Jack Eichel and still sucked.
That's true.
So there's a lot more potential to this team, though. I will put that out there. Not to say that, Buffalo doesn't have a lot of good prospects or young guys in the system right now. But yeah, so I think unless it's lottery protected, that 23 pick is off the table.
No, I'll agree
22
with that.
is 100% on the table. So you got the first round pick for 2022. Hell, I'll even throw in the second round pick for 2022 if we still have that. I don't have Cap Friendly up right now.
We do, yeah. I don't think we also don't have a third round pick. I think unless you have another deal to get a second round pick for this year, you don't want to trade first and second.
Okay, we'll go with at least the 2022 first round pick. I agree. Max Comtois is probably going the other way,
unfortunately.
And I think your best chance is Mason McTavish, who we just selected third overall this year. Because that's essentially the player that they could have had a chance at originally had they wanted to move that first, had they wanted to take our first round pick from this year for Jack.
Yeah. I think if you're throwing Max Comtois and a first in there, you could get away with not having to put Mason McTavish in there. You could maybe sweeten it with another second and a B-level prospect. I would have a tough time giving Mason McTavish up. It's not out of the question. I just think you could add other things that you're going to miss less.
See, now if it's just Buffalo and Anaheim talking, I would agree with you. You could probably get away with a little bit less, just a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
With so many other teams going to be in on it, it's going to go to the highest bidder.
That's true. So you're going to have to overpay is kind of what you're saying.
Just a little bit.
That's
so fair. That's why I have McTavish there. So
okay, that's fair. Yeah.
But
okay, I would love to talk more about this, but
we are at 40 minutes and we haven't even gotten to our predictions yet.
And that's going to be a lot. So I think let's take a quick break hear from big old friends over at DraftKings. Promo code THPN, and we will see you guys on the other side of that.
Hockey is back, baby, and DraftKings Sportsbook has an unbelievable offer to celebrate the greatest sport on ice. New customers can bet just $1 on any hockey game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores. Doesn't matter if it's a one-timer or a beautiful deflection, however they light the lamp, you win. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So, what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use the promo code THPN, throw down $1 on any hockey game, and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. This week, one puck in the net nets you a big win with promo code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network, only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Okay, welcome back. Just wanted to quickly say, let us know your Eichel thoughts if you're not listening to this live. Appreciate Marcus chiming in to give us some perspective. All the people tuning in after, feel free to DM us some Eichel potential trades, and we'll maybe pick a few and talk about them in the future. Or you'll just get in, and if the trade actually happens, then who knows? Maybe you predicted it right, and that'd be pretty sick. Also, wanted to bring up the current score in the Kings Ducks game. Sorry, going on right now.
I was like, are we just talking about the Kings right now?
No, I said Kings because I thought it would be implied that I was also talking Ducks, and I was like, I should clarify.
Fair enough.
We're currently up 3-1 against them, which is pretty sick.
Nice.
Delorier scoring, Silfverberg and Raquel, assisted by Zegras. Oh, Raquel and Zegras on the line together? Hell yeah. And then Wagner scoring the one goal for the Kings. And we're at the end of the first. So that's pretty awesome. Hope we can hold on to one there.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing about Eichel. Yeah, which I kind of touched on but didn't really bring up. Dave says, I don't think Eichel is worth it until after surgery and recovery. Yeah, it's just such a big question mark. It's going to be tough to see if he gets... if anyone trades for him until after that.
Seeing that's the issue, I think, is if...
could you potentially buy low now on Eichel because there's that question mark about the surgery?
No, because Buffalo thinks they have the upper hand here because it's Jack Eichel.
Yeah, right.
But when realistically they don't, it's teetering on the edge of the NHL actually having to step in, I think. Yeah. If, things are done poorly, but right at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If the NHL does the right thing. I think, though, that Eichel's not going to have the surgery that he wants, that obviously Buffalo's not wanting because they're... I realized we didn't even throw in the Robin.
Yeah, I just realized too.
But it is a longer episode, and it has been talked about a lot, and obviously it's still a developing story. So I think we'll leave it at that for now.
I'm sure. I don't know if maybe because Dave's in here. I don't know if you guys talked about it on one of your recent episodes with Leonard being involved. Yeah. If you do, let us know. And I think that would be a great episode to go check out. I would definitely check it out too, because I thought the one on 31 Thoughts was really fascinating as well. So I would love to hear more about it from other perspectives.
I totally agree with what Leonard has been saying, though, and whatnot. This Jack's body needs to be the first priority here, and his life after hockey. It's not just about what's going on right now, right? You're looking down the road. But the thing is, though, is I don't think if you're waiting for that surgery to happen, then you're gonna miss out, right? I think you have to take you have to be willing to take on and do the surgery that Jack wants if you're getting Jack, or if you're looking to get him even. And I think a lot of teams actually that are in the talks, which is good for Jack. Yeah, but you still have Buffalo holding up everything on. Oh no, we're looking for a deal. They're looking for a deal on a healthy Jack Eichel, not one that's broken right now and is still needing surgery months later. If the Sabres had gone for the surgery that Jack wanted when he did, or even, you know, a little bit later into it, right?
Mhm.
He could have been ready for this season. Is the crazy
yeah,
part.
exactly. Yeah.
So
I kind of liken
it's
it
a
to
whole
like
other talk, but
I kind of liken it to the people that are on like Facebook Marketplace and they're like selling an iPhone or whatever, and they're like,
yeah,
works great, minor scratches, and it's like a picture of the back, and you're like, oh, it looks in good shape. They're asking like $600 for it, seems fair. And you swipe, and the whole front screen's just
yeah, and
shattered.
it's like
just a lightly used phone, and you know, just minor,
maybe 150, 200.
yeah. It's like, dude,
I gotta
I
go
can't even
repair
use
that
this as a
shit.
paperweight. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So
just to wrap this up here, Dave says, didn't record one last weekend, but we will this weekend. And I'm assuming going to talk about the Leonard comments and all that. So, which will be cool. I definitely want to tune in for that.
yeah, absolutely.
And I love Leonard for being so outspoken about whatever's on his mind. It's great.
Oh yeah,
So,
100%.
okay. Getting into division predictions here. We both have the Atlantic first. So do you just want to start with that one?
Sure. How do you want to go about this? Do we want to do like the top 3 and then do we want to just say like predict the top 3, or do we want to go like the full predictions?
Let's go the full predictions. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
There will be you'll make up some graphics and post them later.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about them now because it's just easier. And for the people that aren't watching, we take liberties and just kind of assume that everyone can see it, but the people that don't actually watch the video streams don't. So we'll keep it to ourselves, but we'll go through them here.
Yeah.
But let's start, I think, with the top 3 because those are essentially talking about the playoff teams, and let's compare. So I have Tampa Bay, Florida, and Toronto. Who do you have in your top 3?
And just to clarify as well, that was going from 1 to 3.
Yeah.
And I did change mine after we were talking about it before.
Yeah.
I have Toronto, Tampa Bay, and Florida.
Why do you have Toronto so high?
Just because Matt, it's okay. Okay, so to clarify, like when I was saying that I changed it before, I actually had Toronto outside, like assuming they would have the wild card spot.
Mhm.
But I'm actually not sure about the Bruins. Just offhand, I'm trying to remember who they have as their goalies right now. But Tuukka Rask is no longer the backstop there.
Mhm.
They still have the rest of the guys, so I think that Boston still has a chance, and that's where I'm thinking that they would be able to take a wild card spot.
Yeah. I know Swayman is one of their goalies. I just can't think of who the other one is.
Yeah, I can't either right now because
They're-
Halak's not there anymore. Rask isn't there, at least for now.
Yeah.
Curious to see what happens there. But
Mhm.
Tampa Bay, really for them, it's as long as they make the playoffs, right? And Steven Stamkos actually had said that on the 31 Thoughts podcast. That was their whole mentality.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously they're going to try to play the best hockey that they can, but the playoffs seem to be where they shine. And, you know, things happen in the regular season, obviously, to teams like that. And so, yeah, I still have Tampa in second. Toronto has made quite a few moves that I think still benefit the team, and you know, just it's another year of experience, really. I think for Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, right? Like that, they take that experience and just push a little bit more even.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Did you watch the Amazon documentary by chance on the Leafs?
I've started it. I haven't finished it though.
Okay.
So
Even if you're not a Leafs fan, obviously you're probably not if you're listening to a Ducks podcast. I do suggest actually watching that documentary, just if you're a fan of, you know, behind the scenes stuff or whatever. It's really eye-opening just in general to one, like what happened during, you know, this last season trying to
with
COVID and everything like that. Yeah. And Toronto wasn't greatly impacted by it, at least on their roster, but they were with other implications like Vancouver and that being in the North Division.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a great documentary, and yeah, just like gave insight to, you know, a lot of different players and just kind of how things operated and that kind of stuff. And just a behind, like a good behind the scenes look, more than, you know, like the HBO Winter Classic stuff or whatever. That's like a couple, like say like 3 episodes of that, but this is over an entire season with like even like with medical staff and like just conversations between coaches and GMs and stuff like that. It was a really good documentary, I thought.
Yeah, for sure. It's also really nice because we're fans of other Canadian teams, and
Yeah.
the one thing we can kind of agree on is just, the Leafs being sad, and you get tons of sad Leafs. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, so I have Toronto up top, just because it's another year of those impact players. Like
Mhm.
if Matthews wasn't hurt last year, he was on pace for I think like 55 goals or something like that.
Yeah.
In a 56 game season. That is ridiculous. Like that is just it's ridiculous, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, exactly.
it feels like, just as he gets as another year of experience, it's another year older, it's another year stronger. Like it's terrifying. I'm happy
yeah,
he's
for
not in
sure.
our division. We
Yeah.
already have Connor McDavid. I don't want to deal with Austin Matthews also.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, for sure. I agree.
then-
I just don't.
yeah.
I just think that the Lightning and the Panthers are just going to be far superior. Like to me, the Lightning are on a whole nother level, and I think
that's
the
fair.
Panthers are really trying to compete to that level as well, and they just keep making subtle additions that make them better each year. So that's why I have Toronto at 3. I still think it's going to be a tight race between all of them.
I don't even know if I actually said it, but I do have Florida in 3rd as well.
Yeah.
I feel like they're a team that, especially recently has been able to compete even with the changes that they made this year. I feel like they're a team that's going to make a solid push for it and has the potential to to do stuff this year. So
yeah. Let's quickly touch on the Red Wings and Sabres. We both have them at 7 and 8 respectively. I also want to go back to a comment Dave made earlier. I think Detroit will be better this year compared to last year, but the Atlantic is so much tougher that they will still be 7th. I agree. I have them 7th, not because I think they're going to be a bad team. I just think that the division is so tough that they're in. Same with the Metro too. But
Anaheim, or I was gonna say, like Detroit and Anaheim are similar but different. Anaheim now knows that we're in a rebuild, whereas the Red Wings a season or two ago knew that they were in the middle of a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit that the Red Wings have, at least for their long-term future, we'll go with the next 10 years, is Steve Yzerman is behind that.
Yeah.
Steve Yzerman is the reason. As much as there was a different GM whose name is getting put on the Stanley Cup, Steve Yzerman is the reason for the last 2 Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cups, the back-to-back years. He is the reason for that. Detroit, it won't be very long until they are dominating that division again.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
But
okay.
It's okay with this year because Red Wings fans at least understand that they are going to hurt, but it is for a reason. It's a little bit different compared to Anaheim, where it's just we're hurting.
Yeah.
We think we know why, but we actually don't until this year, where it's like, okay, it's finally been clarified. So, but because we all assumed it was a rebuild, but when you actually haven't been told what's going on, you could also wonder like I was talking about, like just mediocrity to lower. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, now let's talk about the kind of, I guess, not bubble teams, wild card teams that we have. So I have the Bruins 4th, Canadiens 5th, Senators 6th. I think the Bruins are going to be in the wild card, potentially even in that 3rd spot over Toronto if it's going to be close. The Canadiens and Senators, I think, are kind of interchangeable there.
Yeah.
The Senators could be really good, but it's just they're so young. The Canadiens, their team is just so weird. Like no one expected them to go far last year, and they did. And then they seemingly got worse this year, but also they brought in some guys that look kind of good. So maybe they are going to be good. And also, who knows with Carey Price. So
yeah,
I just kind of have to put them in the middle, but I think they could be good. Whether or not they're wild card teams because of how good the Metro is another conversation. But that's why I have Bruins 4th, Canadiens 5th, Senators 6th. What do you?
Yeah, I have it. I have it pretty close. I have Bruins in 4th. Just kind of assuming that if they're not in that top 3, they're making the wild card spot.
Yeah.
And I have Senators over the Canadiens, and then Red Wings and Sabres, obviously. The Senators I have just at least written down here as higher than the Canadiens. Is you talked about Carey Price. He's not going to be around for at least the start of the season after having the surgery, and he has a non-COVID related illness that he's trying to deal with right now. So he's going to be behind for a little bit, which definitely hinders the Canadiens. I'm trying to it's a little bit harder trying to remember like kind of where like some of the moves teams made this year, because literally 25% of the league moved around this season. From what I can recall, at least, though, the Canadians are very shallow down the middle, and that's definitely going to hurt.
That's always kind of been
division
their problem,
like the Atlantic, right? So, well, and even more so now without Philip Deneau, right? And Kotkaniemi. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Oh my god, yeah.
I like how we had the same reaction but thought about different players.
Yeah, but so it's gonna be a little bit tougher for them.
Jesus, do they even have a centerman, or do they just have like 12 wingers?
I can't even think offhand. No Shea Weber as well.
Yeah,
right. Like
that's a big loss.
They're a team that is hurting a little bit. The Senators are same thing as kind of talking about with even like Matthews, Marner, like those younger guys in Toronto. The Senators' younger guys are another year older. They've had another year of experience, and they did surprise quite a few teams actually in that North Division last year, right? Like there was thought that they actually might not be last place in that division, for quite a while. So like even Vancouver having COVID aside, like there was thoughts about that. So
they are like what's the word I'm looking for? Not like tough, but they play like they're the best team in the league. Yeah. Like they play like they're the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah. It's really admirable, honestly.
Yeah.
And I wish that my teams played that way all the time, because they put everything in every night, and it shows, and they get wins they shouldn't out of it. It's awesome.
Yeah. And like I was talking about, that added year of experience and everything like that. And, when Brady Tkachuk is able to get signed to a contract, that Senators team is going to take another step forward this year. And that's another example of rebuilding and like tearing down and rebuilding with a purpose, right? Like, it's been, it was a very steep downhill turn for the Ottawa Senators, but it has been a steady incline, right, on rebuilding. So they're definitely a fun team to, even if it's not like last year, it wasn't, like very winnable hockey, I guess, for them. Like there wasn't many wins. It wasn't happy in that sense. It was still enjoyable hockey to watch, because like you said, they give 110% every night. So
okay, shall we move on to the Metro?
Yeah, let's do it. I realize we spent a lot of time on the Atlantic, so I will try to be a little bit faster. That is 100% on me.
Sounds good. For this division, just because we have the same teams in the top half and the bottom half, just in a different order, let's go 4 and 4. So I have the Islanders at 1, followed by the Hurricanes, then the Caps, and then the Rangers in 4. Nate then has Islanders 1, Capitals 2, Hurricanes 3, Rangers 4. So really, we just have 2 and 3 swapped. That's about it.
Yeah, I feel like the Rangers could sneak in there. They've made some, I thought, some decent moves. They were a good team last year as well, right? Just kind of
especially in the second half. I thought they were going to be good, and they did not meet expectations for the first 75% of the season. 70% of the season. And then they really picked it up. And if they played that way the whole season, they would easily have made the playoffs. But
exactly.
So I think if they play the full 82 to their expectations, they should hit 4th.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. And I'm actually excited. We do have tickets to go see the Oilers and Rangers in Edmonton. I'm excited for that game, actually.
That's going to be a good game.
To watch the Rangers. So
obviously Oilers are my number 1, but Rangers are up there for one of my favorite teams in the league.
I want to see Ryan Reeves like shit talk Connor McDavid.
Oh, I forgot he's there. Oh, yeah. Oh, now I'm scared. Oh boy.
A good tilt would be Zach Kassian and Ryan Reeves, but is Zach Kassian even going to be on the Oilers this year? At least in a top 6 role? Probably not.
I mean, top 6, no. No.
But he's going to shit talk and talk about, how great of a player he has been, or that kind of thing, compared to Matthew Tkachuk. Dude. This is not a Flames and Oilers podcast. I won't get too deep into it, but everything went very downhill for Zach Kassian after he talked about how he had 13 goals that season. So
we're moving on. We both had Islanders at number 1. So I think we need to discuss that a little bit, especially because we have them over teams like the Hurricanes, who have been good for a long time, or not a long time, for the last few years, Capitals and Penguins, who have been good for a long time. We don't even have the the Pens in the top 4. Kaylee, our friend Kaylee, if you're listening, we're really sorry about this, but like we'll get to the Penguins, but the Islanders are number 1. I think they've made a ton of good moves this offseason. I mean, they were good last year too, and then to add Parise and whoever else they've added, like they're going to be good.
It's no matter what, you can't count out Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah,
as old as he has gotten, he still is able to keep up with today's NHL.
Mm-hmm.
And as ridiculous as sometimes it might look, he still pulls it off.
Yeah.
On top of that, you have Barry Trotz, who is known for winning, right? Like, as long as I think you have those two, the Islanders always have a chance to at least be in the talks about making the playoffs.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, they play... I'm going to sound like, the old men that always talk about hockey, but they play hockey the right way,
Yeah.
They defend, they like
oh yeah,
well,
you're 100% right. Yeah.
All 5 men are back to defend, and then they get possession and then they go up. There's no like where the forwards are kind of cheating a little bit. They play a big, heavy hitting hockey. And I mean that it's just effective, like against anything.
The Islanders play a true team game. Yeah. Everybody is involved in on every part of the ice, except for the goalie obviously isn't helping offensively, but
yeah. Dude, but man, if the Islanders got Mike Smith, like they would be like an offensive powerhouse probably.
Mike Smith would keep pulling like a Patrick Waugh going over the center line.
yeah.
Smitty's like, let me up there. No, Mike, get back. The Capitals for me are always going to be there because of Alex Ovechkin. The guy does not seem to. Exactly. He physically ages. Don't get me wrong. Like he's what, 34, 35?
Yeah.
And he looks old. He has more gray hair on his head than my grandpa does, who is in his mid 70s, I believe.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, that is also just he is 100% like a stereotypical Russian, I believe.
Oh yeah,
in that respect. But
the Capitals haven't changed much this year either.
Not a whole lot. It's just everybody's a little bit older, but they're still good, which is why I still have them up there compared to the Penguins, which I'm going to jump here a little bit.
Yeah, no, let's go.
I keep thinking that the sun is setting there just a little bit. They'll be out of it just for a little while. It's not going to be a tank by any means.
Yeah,
but I mean, like I guessed it a couple seasons ago, like during our first season doing this, I did say that technically the Pittsburgh Penguins would not make the playoffs. I was right because Montreal beat them out in the play-in.
Yeah,
but last year was a better year for them, obviously, and as long as you have Malkin and Crosby, you have a chance. But both those guys as well are going to be out at the start of the season,
exactly.
And the start of the season is always such a big thing. Unless you're the St. Louis Blues from 2019, then you can wait until January to play hockey, but
and win the cup apparently.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I don't know. I'm just going with the thing that like it has to happen soon. I feel like, but the sun is setting on Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, I don't want to count them out. I don't want to say they're not a playoff team. I think they could easily beat out, not easily. I think they could beat out the Rangers. It's very possible the Islanders and the Hurricanes were hyping up way too much. It's possible that the Bruins really just shit the bed and the Penguins squeak in on the wild card. Like, there's so many possibilities for the Penguins to make the playoffs, and it's just that there's question marks going into the season. You're right; they have to drop off at some point. We're not saying the Penguins are bad. It's just look at the other teams in the East, and it's so hard to put the Penguins somewhere and discount some of these other teams. Plus, we're going for the hot takes here, right? Remember,
exactly.
Bakery's open for business. Hot takes: Islanders number 1, Penguins bottom.
Yeah, well, 6th, but
kind of
for me, they're 5th for you. So,
you have them 6th. Yeah.
Okay. I guess should we talk about the bottom 4 really quickly?
Yeah. So I have, as we talked about, Penguins 5th, Devils 6th, Flyers 7th, and Blue Jackets last. You have Flyers 5th, Penguins 6th, Devils 7th, and Blue Jackets last. So can we talk about why we think the Blue Jackets are going to be in the bottom?
I think it's just kind of what you were talking about with the Penguins. Just, other teams that are there.
Mhm.
It's not to say that the Blue Jackets are going to be a bad team. You could have a very small spread, honestly, between 3rd place and 8th place.
Oh yeah.
It could be a difference of 10 points, like at
Mhm.
most,
Yeah.
right? Which does seem like a lot, but it's also not at the same time. That's a difference of 5 wins,
Mhm.
right? The Devils, I just see another young team taking a step forward, especially with the addition of Dougie Hamilton. That really helps them both defensively and offensively.
Yeah.
It is just one guy, but it helps a lot.
Mhm.
A full,
and they're young guys. Like they have a bunch of 1st-round picks from a few years back that are
he
starting
sure
to
is
get
gonna
into
be
their
back.
primes.
He sure is going to be back,
yeah.
right? Because he was injured
They
for
have Hughes.
I think the majority or all of last season.
The
majority.
for sure,
I think he played
Yeah,
a couple games because he was also
Mhm.
made captain last year for the Devils.
Yeah.
Which very quiet as well, actually, about that. Like there wasn't a whole lot of buzz that I
Mhm.
saw, at least, about that. But that's a solid move by New Jersey.
Mhm.
It's just kind of the teams in front of them. I think it
Mhm.
is really the only reason, or just the teams that are around them. I mean, that are going to be the reason that they're in front, and
Yeah.
the Blue Jackets make it last. It's not to say
Exactly.
that they're going to be a bad team. Like I said, it
Mhm.
could be a very small margin between 3rd and 8th, but
Mhm.
that's the only
And
reason
I
I have
think
it down there.
I think the same with the Flyers as well. Like it's not that they're a bad team. It's just, are they better than the Penguins? Maybe not. Maybe. Are they better than the Rangers? We both say no. So like it really just comes down to, like you say, those few games for the Flyers, I think.
Yeah, I feel like the Flyers last year were an anomaly. That's why I have them in that 5th spot.
Mhm.
And I mean, really, it could be interchangeable as well with the Flyers and Rangers, even. But like that team has shown in recent years that they can play, right? And not a whole lot has changed. So that's why I'm thinking last year was just an anomaly. They can contend. So
yeah, no, I think so too. I think for me, there's just a bunch of question marks because, like you're saying, you think last year was an anomaly. My point of view is maybe it's not an anomaly. Maybe they overperformed the season before, and who knows who's right. I'm not taking a hard stance on it.
Yeah, it's way too early predictions.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not holding ourselves accountable to this.
Yeah, like is Carter Hart? I don't want to say he's going to be bust, but like, is he as good as he was in that first season? They have Martin Jones as their backup. Like, what if Carter Hart shits the bed? Oh no, you're fucked. Their defense, I'm like Ryan Ellis, Ristolainen, Yandel, Sanheim. Those are all just like middle of the road defensemen. They don't have those top defenders to defend against some of the best forwards in the league. Mika Zibanejad, Sidney Crosby, and Malkin. Alex Ovechkin. Like, are those guys really gonna be able to defend them? Like, I know Ristolainen gets tons of hits, but like he's always one of the top guys in the league for hits. But like, how much is he going to be able to hit Ovechkin? Like Ovechkin's a big dude too, so it's going to be tough.
You brought up a good point with Carter Hart, and I believe he's going to be a reason for the Flyers getting back up is because he also had an off year, I think. Because he had 2 seasons before that he was looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that was behind what I would consider kind of, like you were talking about medium, like middle of the road defense.
Yeah.
I think that's what he had before as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think, as if Carter Hart can play back to the point that we know Carter Hart can play at, they'll be fine.
Yeah. Just for me, it's just a big if he can. So that's why I have them lower.
I don't know. I also have personal stakes in that I want that very last pick that I had in the THPN draft of Carter Hart at I think it was like 200 spot. I want that to be the steal of the draft.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Just looking at the time here, I guess we do have to take another break at some point. Do you want to take it now, or do you want to quickly pound out the Central and the Pacific?
Let's take a quick break because I think we can get through. We don't have Unplugged this week. I think we can get through what's quacking pretty quickly.
Okay.
So let's take a quick break.
Let's take a quick break, catch our breath, and then talk about the Central and Pacific on the other side.
Do you want a true champion's perspective? Well, come on over to the Bolts broadcast, where we talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning, have some friendly banter, and of course, hockey name of the day.
If you pronounce it, you can get it.
Anthony Nunschwander.
You didn't pronounce it right. That's Anthony
Nunschwander.
It's Neuen. It's Neuenschwander. Anthony Neuenschwander.
Dude, I always slept in German class, so I don't know how you expected me to put that together. Come on.
You only took it for 4 years.
I took it for 2.
Took it for 2 years? Oh no, Jado
Yeah.
took it that long.
I took it for 2 years and was like asleep in all of German 2.
Oh,
because
you only took it in junior high. You didn't take it in
Yeah.
high school at all.
No. Yeah, she sent us across the hallway, and it was like me and, I don't know, 5 other people, and all we did was just goof off because it was an empty room of just us while she was too busy yelling at you guys because you guys were a terrible class.
No, we were in terrible class. A couple people were terrible people. I'm not going to
You.
mention names. Not going to call out anybody in this pod. It was
Chase
not me.
Crawshaw.
It was 100% not me.
Oh boy, I know a couple of those names, but yeah, it's a good point, Chase. We won't mention those here. New episodes every Monday, only on the Hockey Podcast Network.
So I think we forgot about somebody with the Columbus Blue Jackets in Patrick Laine for another guy who could have a bounce back year.
That's true.
I was just scrolling through Twitter really quickly just as we were on that break there,
Mhm.
and my God, he just did the Columbus Blue Jackets power play for them. Literally took the puck from his own end, went through 4 defenders against Detroit. He just did it himself.
against
and he
Detroit.
scored.
Yeah.
Go find that highlight if,
Okay.
if you're listening to this now. Like that,
I'll
that
look
was
it up
filthy.
after. Yeah.
That was filthy. Okay, for you, I'll send it to you right now,
Okay. Sounds
and then
good.
you can just have it for later. But
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, go find this because wow, like I understand it's preseason and it's Detroit, which isn't the greatest, but like, goddamn.
No, again, like I think the Blue Jackets can be a good team. Like guys like Domi, Laine. I think their goaltending's really solid. Their defense, I can't think of off the top of my head, but I'm pretty confident it's fairly decent. It just comes down to the other teams being better, and like you said, it could be a 10-point spread. So someone's got to be last, and I think if I had to put a team in last, I would be the most comfortable putting the Blue Jackets there.
Yeah.
So. But you're right. Line A is a big X factor there. So, okay.
Yes.
The Central Division. I think the number 1 spot is pretty much undisputed to be the Colorado Avalanche. If anyone has an argument against that, I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the Colorado Avalanche. Next, we both have the Minnesota Wild, which is no longer the Minnesota Wild. Or Jesus,
Mild.
Real fuck
They
that
are,
one
they
up.
are
Eh?
actually kind of wild.
They're
Yeah.
getting more wild for sure.
Kirill
Not the
Kaprizov
wildest. Maybe they should be
really,
the
really
Minnesota
helps them.
Wilder. Oh yeah,
Wilder.
he's huge. Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a big
Yeah.
part of that team, and I think the rest of the guys that they have as well just really complement that team nicely. It's
Yeah.
almost like what we talk about with the Ducks all the time, where it's like, oh man, if we just had like that one really good player, that's all we need. And I mean,
Yeah.
maybe not. I think we might need a couple more pieces, but that was the Minnesota Wild for the longest time. It's like they
Yeah.
just need that one really good player. They just have they were the epitome of mediocrity.
Yeah.
And then they got a solid goaltender in Cam Talbot. They got a star forward in Kirill Kaprizov. And then, I mean, Jared Spurgeon has really just kept on going up on defense for them. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's the pieces that they needed. And now they have it. And now, yes, they lost to Vegas last year in the playoffs, but they took them to 7.
Yeah. That's
So-
that's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah,
If Dave's
and they
still
were-
on here, he's
they were
gonna
good.
hate that. But can't think getting that brought up again. But
Yeah. So, yeah, I think they could easily take second in this weaker division. Not a
Yeah.
weak division, just weaker.
weaker. Yeah.
Okay.
The difference we have here is at number 3.
Yeah. It's interesting. Actually, our kind of whole middle is different because we both have Preds
Yeah.
and Coyotes at the bottom. Coyotes is easy.
Yeah.
Preds, I think if we quickly talk about them, are kind of like the bottom teams in the Metro where I don't think
Yeah.
they're going to be bad. It's just the other teams are better.
Better. Yep.
So, you made a point off air actually that they lost a couple key guys. Arvidsson being one of them.
Yeah.
Rene obviously being another one. They
Yeah.
still have Saros, but it's
And he'll be
there's just
good for
question
them.
marks.
Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
UC Staros is a great goalie, and David Riddick as well would be a great backup for him.
Oh yeah, he's there.
So yeah, but sorry, where were we going with this?
Oh yes, I was just getting them out of the way so we could talk about the other four. There's Dallas.
I got lost for a second.
There's Dallas, Chicago, St. Louis, and Winnipeg that we have just all over the place in 3 to 6.
Yeah.
So I have the Jets at 3, the Stars at 4, the Blackhawks at 5, and the Blues at 6. Nate, what do you have?
I have the Blackhawks at 3, the Jets at 4, the Blues at 5, the Stars at 6.
Okay. So we both have the Jets probably in the playoffs, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I
I can see the Jets taking a wild card at least.
Yeah, for sure. At the bare minimum. For me, the Jets and Stars are somewhat interchangeable. I really like the moves that the Stars made because they didn't lose a ton of key guys, but they added all-star defenseman Yanni Hakanpää. Not all-star, but he's a star in my eye. Which I think is really good. They still have veteran presence in Pavelski. Rupe Hintz is going to take another step. Kiviranta is going to take another step. Sagan is back. He only played a couple games last year. So I think they'll be good. But what are your thoughts on the Stars? Why did you put them at 6?
It's kind of the same thing as the Predators, just the teams around them I think are going to be a little bit better. And honestly, I probably could have swapped the Blues and Stars around as well.
Mm-hmm.
Blues are just kind of, I don't know, ever since that cup, it's just kind of been downhill. And that's not, just to throw them there because of the trajectory they've been on, but it's just, I don't know. Blues are just kind of meh right now.
It's like they switched spots with the Wild. Like the Blues are just kind of that the St. Louis milds. The St. Louis, what's a mild color?
Blue.
Okay. I don't know. I think blue is like a pretty sad color. So like red is like
they're
angry and
close.
blue is like sad. What's in the St. Louis purples? Mix red and blue together, you get purple.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, yellow.
But yeah, I don't know. The Stars for me, it's I feel like the question is goaltending. It's not to say like I question their goaltending. It's just more how far can the goaltending take them? Because you have, they have 4 goalies essentially going right now.
Yeah, so why is that a question mark?
Because why does a team think they need to have 4 goalies?
Well, because Ben Bishop is broken as fuck, and then they have
so there's a
Hudobin,
question mark
Ottinger,
there.
and Holtby. And Holtby is kind of a big risk. I think they took a chance on him, and then if he turns out to be well, they'll keep Ottinger, get rid of Hudobin at the deadline for a big piece to take into the playoffs.
I understand. You can stock up, and then you can trade off some pieces for other things you need. But yeah, just Hudobin's another year older as well. And it's not to say that age is the end all be all for anybody, but obviously it catches up for goaltenders, especially. There's specific there's few circumstances, I guess, that really allow for a goaltender to play past 34, 35, still at a very high level. We'll put it that way. So that's a bit of a question mark for Hudobin, at least. Yeah, like you said, Ben Bishop's a little broken.
Yeah.
It's kind of a wonder. Braden Holtby, if it's like how it was in Vancouver, I mean, I know the team in front of him and everything like that, but if it's anything like that, it's
gonna be tough.
And Ottinger's just he's young still. He's still. I'm not saying he's not good, but
he's in the same boat as Carter Hart, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So he could have a bounce back and be really, really solid, or he could just be god awful.
Yeah, and it's not to say that it's just the goaltending for me. Just I don't know. The rest of it, for some reason, like as much as yes, you have the big name players like Sagan and Ben and Pavelski and that. I don't know, just something from the outside looking in. For some reason, it just doesn't excite me. That team, and that's why they're kind of there. So.
Dallas has always excited me. So Tyler Sexy, I love him. Hakanpää, love him. So
I don't know. Yeah, for some reason, it just doesn't scream at me for excitement this year. So that's why they're kind of lower. So, but
no, it's totally fair. The Blackhawks, I think, is the only team we haven't talked about yet.
So
it's the question of Marc-Andre Fleury, I think.
In part, the Blackhawks were doing very well last year, from what I can recall, at least, almost making
Better
the
than
playoffs.
expected,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. They there was kind of the question mark of like, are they actually gonna make the playoffs? And give it a few more games, they potentially might have actually with
Yeah.
the division that they were in. Yeah, the Blackhawks definitely bringing in some additional goaltending help in Marc-Andre Fleury, which is definitely an upgrade from
It's going to be
from
huge for
Subban.
Lankinen.
Oh yeah, it's honestly you could split those two 41-41 and have a solid season in your back end.
And Lankinen's going to
100%.
learn a lot from Fleury. Like
Exactly.
he's going to be good in a few years.
Yeah, and
Like,
I mean
good.
he's good already.
Yeah,
right?
no, so he's going to be good.
Exactly. And this is not just me, being a Fleury fanboy or that kind of thing, but the guy is obviously coming off of a Vezina trophy winning season,
Mhm.
right? He can still do it, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't count him out.
And he's got a huge chip on his shoulder after how
Oh my
Vegas just
God,
did him
yeah.
dirty. Like he's going to give them hell.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
whole West. Well, the whole
Yeah,
league, I
really.
guess. Yeah.
And then, the addition of Seth Jones, was it a little bit much? Yeah, it might have been a little bit much, but Seth Jones is still a solid defenseman. An improvement over Duncan Keith. I will say that much.
Oh, yes.
I know you're going to
Yep.
hate that. being
No,
an
I
Oilers
don't.
fan as
I
well,
agree.
but-
No, I agree. I mean, I
Improvement
hate the
there.
concept of it, but I agree.
And I think a big thing, it'll obviously help on ice, but in your locker room, the return of Jonathan Taves is going to be a major morale boost, I believe, to the Chicago Blackhawks team.
Yeah. And he's going to
So-
produce too.
He will. I believe he will. Absolutely. So, but because he and Kane are obviously looking to go back to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So they're going to be playing. So
yeah.
like playing hard. So to me, there's just a lot of, I don't want to say question marks, but I'm going to take a line from your book here, or a page from your book, a line from your paragraph, whatever the fuck. I don't know. I'm tired and hungry. The age is a big factor. Obviously, it's not the be all end all, as you said, but Fleury's older. Taves is coming off not having played, and he's older. Kane's older. The other guys are, I mean, they have young guys, obviously, but none of them like scream at me that they're going to put the team on their back when it really matters. So that's why I have the Blackhawks lower. But I still think, looking at the Pacific, like they could easily make a wild card spot. They could easily take out the Stars for that number 4 spot, or the Jets even. But just for now, I'm putting them lower, just because I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right.
Pacific
Our division.
Okay.
Do we
Vegas.
just want to get we can just get the top 3 out of the way?
Yeah.
Let's
Vegas
just talk
number
about-
1.
let's just talk about
Oilers
the
and
bottom.
Flames 2-3, whatever order. Flames, Oilers, Oilers, Flames.
Yeah.
We could go on forever about them. So instead, we're just going to not talk about them. Let's talk about 4
or 5.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, let's talk about our 4-5. So I have Canucks, Kings 4-5. You have Kings, Kraken.
Yeah, and they could be interchangeable. The question mark for me is the Kraken. I believe the Kings are going to be up there trying to fight for a playoff spot. We saw it last year, even, right? Like, this is a team that did a solid rebuild in a relatively short amount of time, actually. It is very impressive, and you have to give the Kings props.
Yeah, the addition of Deneau is good. They got
Yes.
Arvidsson as well, and they got other players. Their young guys are going to be good. I think the Kings are going to be pushing for a playoff spot.
Absolutely. The question mark for me is the Kraken, because on paper, I like their goaltending. I like their defense. It looks good. The question mark is up front with the top 12 on forward.
Mhm.
If they're able to produce, the Kraken definitely have a shot at making the playoffs, especially in this division. If not, it's not going to be great. But at the same time, I think they're a team still with $30 million in cap space. They can do whatever the hell they want. They could honestly, if they want to spend it, they can go for Jack Eichel if they want.
Mhm.
Right?
Oh, easily.
They also have, even with just this one draft, they have a decent prospect pool already. So
No, for sure. I think so. The issue for me with the Kraken is that from what I've seen from them in the preseason, they just don't have that chemistry yet. And game 1 is not going to, they're not just all of a sudden going to have this chemistry where the team is going to gel.
Right.
And as we talked about with one of the other teams, the Penguins, because Crosby and Malkin were going to be out to start the season.
Yeah.
The way you start the season is just so huge, because if you start the season bad, it creeps longer than it should, because you're like, oh my God, we're not going to be this good team. We still have 80 more games. We still have 75 more games of just losing, and it just weighs on you.
Yeah.
I talk like I've played in a full NHL season. I literally haven't.
Well, I mean,
and also,
on
I
EA, but
Yeah. Well, I don't lose at anything anyways, so I don't really know what I'm talking about.
my most recent Be a Pro is a 5-time Stanley Cup champion.
So to me, the Kraken, they just have question marks. And I haven't seen anything good from them. They've been playing in the preseason, I think, with pretty much their opening night roster, and then against like B level, like every other team's B teams, they've just been average. Like, yeah, they're putting up a fight, but it's their B team. It's a bunch of AHL guys. And then when they actually play in NHL team, they get shat on. Like, and again, I know it's preseason, but I just don't have a reason to like them. So that I have them at the bottom of the division, and it's just because I don't know. So I mentioned this off air as well, that a lot of people going into the Vegas's first season, a lot of people were like, oh, they're an expansion team, they're not going to do well. And then they got chemistry right away. They started winning games and they just took off, and people are like, oh man, these guys are good. And then now that the Kraken are entering in, people are like, oh, well, they could be like Vegas. They could just be really well. They could get chemistry. They could surprise the whole league. People are going to underestimate them, all this and that. And I like, just because Vegas did it doesn't mean Seattle's going to be able to do it. So I'm going back to they're an expansion team and not going to be good kind of point of view, but we'll see.
Vegas did have the additional unfortunate motivator of the shooting, right? Which is definitely what contributed to the chemistry, because the team started to hang out a lot more even, and, you know, do things around the community and that kind of stuff. So they built up that camaraderie.
Sure.
A very special
and Vegas
season.
really rallied around them as well.
Exactly. So
like the city.
like I said, unfortunate circumstance, but I don't see the Kraken doing quite that as well. But so,
knock on wood for no unfortunate circumstances in Seattle.
Stranger things have happened, right? So
like I really don't want to count them out. I could look like a total fucking moron like 2 weeks from now if the Kraken are just like, no, here we go. We picked up Eichel. We picked up this guy. Like, let's go. Yeah. We're an offensive powerhouse, defensive powerhouse, good goaltending. Let's go. Let's tear up the league. But
now maybe okay. What do you want to just talk about the bottom three, or do you just want to talk about? Us?
Well, I mean, we really only have the rest. I have Sharks at 6 and Ducks at 7. You also have Ducks at 7.
Yeah.
With the Canucks at 6. So we were kind of all over the map with this one, but really not the Flames. Sorry, the Ducks we have low expectations for them. You think we could be better than the Sharks? I think we could be better than the Kraken. And that's it.
I don't know. The Sharks just continue to go downward, and part of it's just, you know, bit of the rivalry. I'd love to see that, but at the same time, I don't know. I think we can actually do better than the Sharks. The Canucks I have at 6th. The addition of Hughes and Pettersson back at least are amazing for them and could potentially put them up there. But I feel like the Kings and the Kraken could really go. But then again, there's so many question marks. More of like, are they going to do, kind of meh, or are they really actually going to play up high with, like Demko and Horvat, Pettersson, and Hughes, obviously, as well, right? Because especially for those last two, they have those big contracts behind them. There's the pressure on them at this point.
Yeah. For sure.
And but I don't know, just the same thing as who are we talking about? The Stars. As much as there is that star power there and whatnot, the roster overall just doesn't scream contender for me right now.
No, that's fair.
Especially that back end for the Canucks. It's wishy-washy. But my rationale for putting the Canucks higher is that because this is such a weak division, it's kind of going to be like Colorado and Vegas last year when they were playing in the weakest division. Yeah. And they're just going to get, I don't want to say free points, but more points from like the California teams and aside from maybe the Kings and potentially the Kraken. Like, I just think that even though they're kind of that mediocre team, they're going to do really well against some, I guess you play more than
more than just the teams in your division this year. So it's a weird thing I ought to think through. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that because they're going to play teams in the Pacific and Central more, like even some of the bad teams, I think that they'll compete against teams like the Oilers, Flames, Wild, Jets that are up there and going to be contenders.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to, and then they're going to do really well against the bottom teams. It's just they're going to lose to the top teams, obviously. So I think that that's what's going to put them in the middle. I don't know if that made sense at all.
A little bit. It made enough sense, at least, that it's comprehensible.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add about any of these teams here?
Not really. But I just thought of a wild idea.
Okay.
Obviously, is never going to happen. But you know how with WWE, they somehow obviously that's. Sorry if I'm spoiling this for you. WWE is very scripted. They aren't actually trying to perform this move. These guys are all stuntmen, essentially.
Yeah.
They're actors. But you know how WWE will have that surprise guest that you weren't expecting that like changes everything in the show and whatnot, right? Just like throws everything completely off balance or that. Imagine if the NHL just decided to do that midway through the season. They're like, this team is not going to stick around, but here in the middle of the season, starting in January, is a 33rd team. They're considered in every division. Have fun.
That would be wild.
That would be. And it's like clones of it's clones. This is where it's really gonna get out there. It's clones of a bunch of the all-stars.
We're at oh god, which key is it now? We're getting into what's quacking territory. There's no question about it.
Sounds good. It is clones of a bunch of the NHL All-Stars. So it's a clone of Connor McDavid. It's a clone of Nathan McKinnon. It's a clone of Sidney Crosby. Actually, no, fuck it. The 33rd team in this
are you just going to say Team Canada?
Is Team Canada. Now that is showing my Canadian bias 100%. Yeah. It's not Team USA, but this is Team Canada.
I think what would be even worse is like Team North America, like from the World Cup, but with no age restriction on it. So we're talking Austin Matthews, Patrick Kane.
Actually, no. Change that. It's Team North America, but now.
Oh, oh God.
Dude, I want the World Cup of Hockey to come back. I love that idea of Team North America.
That was super
brilliant.
Cool.
That is so great.
It's like a young team.
I want it back.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. Okay, what did we actually have for What's Quacking?
We actually had for What's Quacking a movie idea that I came across. I have no idea whose idea this was or anything like that. I don't even know what platform it was originally off of. But this is a movie idea. We are in October now, on top of it being spooky season. It's spooky season, baby.
Yeah.
So we're going to combine the two here with this movie idea that was pitched.
Zombie hockey.
Not quite.
All of
Jason
the
Voorhees,
old get players just get to make a team. Is that the 34th NHL team?
Shut up.
Sorry. Okay, I'm done.
All right. Jason Voorhees kills a guy who turns out is an actual hockey goalie. His team sees Jason, assumes he is their goalie, he is their teammate, and Jason has a new career. Turns out Jason is actually a pretty good hockey goaltender. And so the team starts hiding and covering up all the murders that he's committing. Ladies and gentlemen, Friday the 13th, Jason on Ice.
Oh, God. That's so
I actually want to watch that movie. That'd be hilarious.
If you think so, sure.
It would definitely be a lot more of a comedy than like a thriller. Oh, yeah. But the blending of the two, I actually really like the idea of it.
I'm basically just imagining Scary Movie on ice.
It's Scary Movie crossed with the Tooth Fairy, I think, with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. But with like a splash of Slapshot because of the ridiculousness of it at times.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say too.
Yeah. I would actually pay to see this movie, though. I'm not going to lie.
You know what? You've sold me on it. Congratulations. As someone who hates horror movies, you've sold me on this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I was talking about this with my girlfriend last night as well. I'm not a huge horror movie fan as well. I'm a lot more of a thriller fan. So like the Friday
Michael
the 13th,
Jackson, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. But like the
We're gonna
Friday
get
the 13th
demonetized for
movies,
that.
I
Is
like
that
those a
copyright?
lot more than than being scared.
Yeah.
I like the ones that just kind of keep you on the edge of your seat type
Mhm.
thing. So those are the ones that I enjoy. But
Yeah, no, I agree for sure.
so
Okay. Do we have anything else? I hope
No,
not.
that is
Okay.
everything.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Please feel free to roast us in the comments and in the DMs for all of our awful season predictions. We were going to get to just hot takes for the season, but bakery's still open next week, right? So we'll have tons of hot takes for, I guess, on opening night next Wednesday.
Yeah, it will be.
When the Ducks take on, is it the Kings again? I think they take on
Jets.
the Kings. Jets? Oh,
They
right.
take
Not
on the
even
Winnipeg
close.
Jets.
Yeah. So thank you guys very much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe and rate 5 stars and whatever else kind of stuff. Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know if we're on there or whatever. 100% on there. All that fun stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can follow us on all the socials at Quack Report Pod and at HockeyPodNet. You can follow myself at Carter_Potts, POTTS_97. I'm going all out of order here, Nate. Throw it over to you. Where can they DM you their surprisingly okay horror hockey movie ideas?
Oh, are you gonna make me try to hit the post here?
Yeah, let's
Or-
go.
Yeah, okay. So you can send those to me over on Twitter at Tatenomas, TATENHOMAS. We are back in hockey season, baby. Let's have a good time. We'll catch you next time.